10 Buddhist habits that make you unshakable. Let me ask you something. Have you ever felt like life keeps throwing you into the deep end again and again? Like every time you stand up, something comes along to knock you down? A loss you didn't expect, a fear that sneaks up at night, or maybe just that constant feeling like you're barely keeping it together? If you've ever been there, you're not alone. Life will test you. It will push your patience. It will challenge your peace. But here's the deeper question. Is it possible to stay grounded, even when everything around you feels like a storm? Is it possible to walk through pain without being broken by it? The answer, I believe, is yes. But not through force. Not through trying to control everything or pretending you're okay when you're not. It comes from within. You see, in Buddhism, there's a quiet wisdom passed down for centuries, not just for monks in monasteries, but for everyday people like you and me. It teaches that true strength isn't about avoiding hardship. It's about training your mind and heart to meet it with clarity, calm, and courage. Imagine if you could live in such a way that no matter what happened, no matter what you lost, what changed, or what tried to shake you, you remained centered. Not emotionless, not detached, but fully alive and fully grounded. That's what today's journey is about. Because there are 10 habits, 10 powerful Buddhist practices that, when done consistently, can transform your inner world. They're not complicated. They're not about fixing yourself. They're about remembering who you are beneath the noise. These habits are like anchors in the chaos, tools that help you stay balanced, focused, and deeply connected to what truly matters. And the best part? You don't need to be a Buddhist to practice them. You just need a willingness to pause, to listen, to look within. Because the peace you're searching for doesn't come from outside validation or perfect circumstances. It comes from creating a steady foundation inside of you. So today, I invite you to slow down, just for a little while. Put the to-do list aside. Let the world keep spinning without you for a few minutes, and come with me into a deeper space. A space where we can talk honestly about the habits that lead to emotional strength, mental resilience, and spiritual clarity. These aren't just ideas. They're lived experiences. They're tools for those of us who want to stop merely surviving and start living with presence, purpose, and peace. The world doesn't need us to be perfect. It needs us to be rooted, to be real, to be awake. So, if you're ready to stop being tossed around by life's ups and downs, if you're ready to find that unshakable stillness within yourself, then let's begin. Let's dive into the 10 Buddhist habits that will help you become unbreakable. Not because life stops being hard, but because you stop being controlled by it. Welcome to the journey. Learn to sit with pain. Let me ask you something. When was the last time you truly sat with your pain? I don't mean thinking about it while scrolling through your phone. I don't mean distracting yourself with a show or trying to fix it as fast as possible. I mean really sat with it, face to face, without running away. Most of us don't do that because pain scares us. We've been taught to see pain as the enemy, something to be avoided, silenced, numbed, or pushed away. So we resist, we distract, we suppress. We tell ourselves, just stay busy, don't think about it, keep moving. But what if I told you pain isn't here to punish you? What if pain is a teacher? In Buddhist philosophy, pain is not something to be feared, it's something to be understood. Because the truth is, pain is part of being human. It's not a flaw. It's not a failure. It's not a sign that you're broken. Pain is a signal, a messenger. And when you stop running from it, something powerful happens. You begin to reclaim your inner power. Let me share a story with you. There's a Buddhist monk who once described pain like this. When you sit in the fire without flinching, you don't get burned, you get transformed. That stuck with me, because so often we believe that sitting with pain will break us. But more often, it builds us. It gives us clarity, depth, wisdom, strength. When you allow yourself to be still in the middle of discomfort, you begin to notice things. How your body holds tension, what thoughts rise to the surface, what fears you've been avoiding. It's in that stillness, when you're not running, not distracting, just breathing and being, that the lesson reveals itself. Try it sometime. The next time something hurts, emotionally, mentally, even physically, pause. Don't reach for your phone. Don't drown it in noise. Just breathe. Notice where it lives in your body. What is it trying to say? Is there grief underneath your anger? Is there fear hiding beneath your frustration? And ask yourself, what if this pain isn't trying to destroy me? What if it's trying to teach me something I've never been still enough to hear? Now, let's be clear. This habit isn't about pretending pain doesn't hurt. It does, and that's okay. This isn't about toxic positivity or spiritual bypassing. It's about building resilience, the kind of strength that lets you face what others run from. When you sit with pain instead of fleeing from it, you become less reactive, less afraid, less controlled by outside circumstances. And that's the real freedom, to feel everything without being shattered by anything. Because pain loses its power the moment you stop running. And you become someone who can walk through fire and come out whole. This is one of the most powerful habits you can ever develop. Not just for your emotional well-being, but for your relationships, your work, your entire life. Because when you stop avoiding pain, you stop avoiding growth. And when you embrace the hard moments, you begin to transform, not in spite of the pain, but through it. So, if you're going through something right now, if your heart feels heavy, if you're tired of pretending you're fine, pause, sit, breathe. Be with it, not to fix it, but to feel it. Let it soften you. Let it teach you. Let it make you wiser, stronger, and more alive than you were before. Remember, you don't need to run. You don't need to hide. Pain is not the end of your story. It's the beginning of a deeper, stronger version of you. And all it asks is that you stay. Stop reacting. Learn to respond. Let me ask you something. How often do you find yourself reacting before you even realize it? Someone cuts you off in traffic, and boom, the anger explodes. A message comes in that rubs you the wrong way, and suddenly you're spiraling. A single sentence, a look, or even a silence, and your whole mood shifts. It's almost automatic, isn't it? That's because most of us are living on autopilot. We react without even thinking. But here's the truth that changed my life. Reaction is instinct. Response is wisdom. One is a reflex. The other is a choice. You see, in Buddhist practice, there's a core teaching around mindfulness. It reminds us that between the stimulus and the response, there is space. And in that space lies your freedom. Freedom to pause, freedom to breathe, freedom to choose who you want to be in that moment. Let's talk about that space. Most people never even notice it. Life moves so fast. Emotions hit so hard. We feel triggered, and before we know it, we've said something, done something, or thought something that we later regret. But what if you could train yourself to pause, just for one breath? Imagine this. Someone says something rude. Instead of snapping back, you inhale slowly. You feel the heat rise in your chest, the tension in your jaw. But instead of lashing out, you pause. You give yourself a moment. And then you respond. Not from anger, not from ego, but from clarity. That one breath, that one sacred moment can change everything. Because when you react, the world controls you. But when you respond, you take your power back. This isn't about being emotionless. It's not about staying calm all the time or bottling things up. It's about creating enough inner space to choose your next step with intention. Think of it like this. When someone throws you a match, you can either light the fire or you can drop it. And dropping it takes awareness. Now, I'm not saying this is easy, especially when you're tired, stressed, or emotionally drained. But the beauty is, it's a skill, one you can build with practice. The next time something pushes your buttons, try this simple practice. Stop, breathe, notice, choose. Stop the momentum of the reaction. Breathe, deep and slow, even just once. Notice what's happening inside. Are you angry, hurt, embarrassed? Choose a response that reflects your values, not just your mood. It might take 10 seconds, but those 10 seconds might save you from hours of regret. And when you do this consistently, something shifts. You stop being a puppet to every trigger. You stop being pulled in every direction by other people's words, moods, or mistakes. You become the calm in the chaos, the eye of the storm. I remember once, during a difficult meeting, someone accused me of something that wasn't true. I could feel the heat rise, my heart pounding, my face tightening. But I remembered the practice. I paused. I didn't deny it right away. I didn't defend myself. I just breathed. And in that breath, I remembered, I am not here to win an argument. I am here to remain in alignment with who I truly am. My response was calm, it was clear, and later, even the person who accused me apologized. But more importantly, I didn't lose myself in the moment. I stayed whole. That's what this habit gives you. Not control over others, but mastery over yourself. And isn't that the kind of strength we all want? Not the strength to yell louder, but the strength to stay steady when everything around you is shaking. So today, I invite you to try this. Notice your next reaction. Pause and choose a response that honors who you are, not just how you feel in the moment. Because the more you practice this, the more free, powerful, and unshakable you become. Discipline your mind every morning. Let me ask you something. What's the very first thing you do when you wake up? Do you reach for your phone? Check your emails? Scroll through headlines or social media before your feet even touch the floor? It's okay, most of us do. But here's something we rarely think about. The first moments of your morning are sacred. They set the tone for everything that follows. You see, your mind in the morning is like soft soil, fresh, receptive, ready to be shaped. Whatever you plant in those first few minutes will grow throughout your day. And if the first thing you feed your mind is stress, noise, urgency, or comparison, what do you think will grow? That's why in Buddhism and many spiritual traditions, the morning is treated as a time of alignment, not for productivity, but for presence. When you discipline your mind each morning, you're not controlling your day. You're anchoring yourself in it. Let's be honest, most days don't go as planned. Unexpected things happen. People disappoint us. Plans change. But when your mind starts the day steady, centered, and clear, you're much better prepared to respond instead of react. Let me share something from my own practice. There was a time I would wake up straight into the chaos, checking deadlines, rushing through the morning, always feeling like I was behind before the day even began. But then I started a new ritual. Simple, barely 10 minutes. I'd wake up, sit upright in silence, and take 5 deep breaths. Then I'd ask myself just one question. What kind of energy do I want to bring into the world today? Not what I had to do, not what others expected, but who I wanted to be. And that small shift changed everything. Because that's what discipline of the mind really is. It's not harsh. It's not rigid. It's about choosing who leads your day, your soul or your stress. You don't need an hour-long routine to do this. You don't need fancy journals, apps, or incense. You just need intention. Start with this. Sit in stillness. Even 2 to 3 minutes is enough. Feel your breath. Let it ground you in your body. Set an intention, something simple. Today I choose patience, or I meet this day with clarity. Reflect. Who do you want to be in the face of the unknown? Because here's the truth. If you don't take time to shape your mindset each morning, the world will shape it for you. The news, social media, to-do lists, notifications, they're all waiting to hijack your focus. But when you start the day with inner clarity, you become far more resilient to outer noise. It's like tuning an instrument before a performance. You wouldn't play a song on a guitar that's out of tune, so why go into your life untuned, unfocused, ungrounded? That's why the most grounded people, those who seem calm even when everything's chaotic, aren't lucky. They're intentional. They've trained their minds to meet the day with grace instead of panic. They've learned the power of beginning from stillness. So let me ask you again, what do you want your mornings to feel like? Not just what you want to get done, but how you want to show up. Because every morning is a new opportunity to choose presence over pressure, stillness over speed, clarity over confusion. And when you choose that, you don't just change your morning, you change your life. Discipline of the mind is the quiet strength behind emotional freedom. It's not loud, but it's life-changing. So tomorrow morning, before the world pulls you in 100 directions, pause, breathe, return to yourself. And remember, you don't need a perfect day. You just need a peaceful start. Let go of what you can't control. Let me ask you something. How much of your stress comes from trying to control things that are completely out of your hands? The traffic that makes you late, the words someone said or didn't say, the outcome of a job interview, the actions of a loved one, the timing of a dream that hasn't come true yet. If you're like most people, the answer is a lot. We grip tightly to expectations. We try to fix, force, and figure everything out. And when things don't go the way we planned, we suffer. But here's a quiet truth that Buddhism has taught for centuries. Suffering doesn't come from what's happening. It comes from our resistance to what's happening. In other words, pain is inevitable, but suffering is optional. Because so often, what causes the most inner turmoil isn't the situation itself. It's our unwillingness to accept that we're not in control of it. We hold on to how people should treat us, to how life should unfold, to who we thought we'd be by now. And the tighter we cling, the more we suffer. But here's the beautiful paradox. Letting go doesn't make you weaker. Letting go sets you free. It doesn't mean giving up. It means making peace with the fact that some things, most things actually, are not up to you. And in that surrender, there's a quiet kind of power. Let me give you an example. Imagine standing in a river trying to hold back the current with your bare hands. Exhausting, right? That's what it's like trying to control what you can't. But when you let go, you float. You allow the river to carry you, still alert, still awake, but no longer fighting reality. So how do we practice this in everyday life? Start by asking yourself, am I holding on to something I can't actually change? It could be someone's opinion of you, a decision from the past, an outcome you wanted so badly to go a certain way. And once you name it, breathe. Let yourself acknowledge the truth. This is beyond me. Then shift your focus to what is within your power. How you show up, how you treat others, how you care for your own heart, how you choose to think, speak, and act in this moment. Because the only thing we ever truly control is ourselves. Now let's talk about forgiveness. Sometimes what we're really holding on to isn't just control, it's blame. We carry the weight of old mistakes, betrayals, words we wish we could take back. But here's the thing. Forgiveness doesn't mean what happened was okay. It means you're choosing peace over punishment. It means you're releasing yourself from a burden that was never meant to be permanent. And that includes forgiving yourself, too. The truth is, we're all doing the best we can with what we know, where we are, in this moment. And when you finally let go, not because you're tired, but because you're ready, you create space. Space for peace, space for growth, space for life to unfold without needing to control every detail. Letting go is a daily practice. Sometimes it's 1,000 little surrenders. Letting go of the urge to reply. Letting go of the story in your head. Letting go of the belief that things should be different. And each time you let go, you return to the present moment. You remember, this is where my life is. Not in the past, not in the future. Right here. So if you're carrying something heavy today, a situation you can't fix, a person you can't change, a past you can't rewrite, pause. Close your eyes and breathe this in. I let go. I trust the timing of my life. I release what I cannot control. This isn't weakness. This is wisdom. Because when you stop trying to hold the world together with your bare hands, you realize it was never your job in the first place. And in that space, you finally exhale. You finally feel free. Be intentional with your environment. Let me ask you something. Have you ever walked into a room and instantly felt your energy drop? Maybe it was cluttered, loud, full of tension. Or maybe it was just filled with people or energy that didn't feel right. Now, flip that. Have you ever entered a space, maybe a cozy cafe, a quiet park, or even your own room after cleaning, and felt yourself breathe easier? That's not coincidence. That's environment. Your environment is not just where you live. It's what shapes your mind, your mood, your energy. In Buddhism, there's a powerful concept called Sangha, your spiritual community. But Sangha isn't just about people. It's about the space you choose to live in, physically, mentally, energetically. Because here's the truth. You cannot thrive in a space that drains you. And this goes beyond just people. Think about what surrounds you every day. The people you talk to, the spaces you spend time in, the media you consume, the noise you allow in. They're all part of your environment, and they're all either feeding your peace or stealing it. Let's talk about people first. We've all had that experience, walking away from a conversation and feeling heavier than when we walked in. It's like you've absorbed someone else's anger, fear, or negativity. Now, this isn't about judging others, but it is about protecting your energy. Because if you're constantly surrounded by people who gossip, complain, or drain you, it becomes very hard to stay grounded no matter how much inner work you do. That's why boundaries are not just about keeping people out. They're about keeping yourself safe inside. And the same goes for your physical space. Take a look around right now. Is your space supporting your peace, or is it subtly feeding your stress? You see, a cluttered space often reflects a cluttered mind. But a calm, clean, and intentional space creates room for clarity. This doesn't mean you need a Pinterest-perfect home. It just means you design your space with intention. Add a plant, let in natural light. Keep only what inspires or calms you. Maybe carve out a little corner where you can sit in silence, just to breathe, just to be. And now, let's talk about digital space. This might be the most overlooked environment of all, because we carry it with us every day, in our pockets. Your phone, your social media feeds, your daily content diet. Ask yourself, is what I'm consuming every day feeding my growth or fueling my anxiety? Because it matters. If the first thing you see each morning is a flood of bad news, comparison, and noise, how do you expect to walk through the day feeling centered? Be just as intentional with your digital environment as your physical one. Unfollow what drains you, mute what distracts you, curate what uplifts you. One of my own practices? I keep a peace playlist, only voices, music, and content that nourish my spirit. It's not about escaping reality. It's about choosing what I let into my inner world. Because here's the thing. You become what you surround yourself with. And your environment, if left unchecked, can become the invisible force that decides your peace, your mindset, and your energy. So if the world outside feels chaotic, don't just try to control it. Start by shaping the world within and around you. Choose to be ruthless, not with cruelty, but with clarity. Be ruthless about protecting your time. Be selective with who has access to your energy. Be mindful of what enters your space through your eyes, ears, and heart. When you do this, you create a sanctuary, not just a place to live, but a space to heal, to grow, to breathe. And here's the magic. When your environment supports your peace, your soul starts to rise. You feel stronger, calmer, more aligned with who you really are. So if life ever feels too noisy, too messy, too overwhelming, look around. What can you clear? What can you protect? What can you choose differently? Because transformation doesn't always start from the inside out. Sometimes it starts with the space you choose to stand in. Remind yourself every day, who are you? Let me ask you a question that sounds simple, but can shift your entire life. Who are you beneath all the noise? Not your job title, not your roles as a parent, a partner, a provider, not what others expect from you, but you, the real you. Because here's the thing, if you don't remind yourself who you are, the world will do it for you. And the world isn't always kind. It'll tell you that you're not enough, that you're falling behind, that you need to look a certain way, achieve more, be someone else. Little by little, without realizing it, you start living a life that isn't fully yours. You react instead of reflect. You follow instead of feel. You forget. That's why this habit, this quiet, powerful practice is so important. Every single day, remind yourself who you are. Anchor into your truth before the world tries to rewrite it. It doesn't take long, but it takes intention. Each morning, before the emails and the obligations begin, pause, put your hand on your heart, and ask, who am I really? What do I stand for? What kind of energy do I want to bring into this day? You see, life moves fast, and when you're not rooted in your identity, it's easy to get swept away by pressure, opinions, comparison. But when you know who you are, truly know, you become unshakable. Let me share something from my own experience. There was a time when I based my worth entirely on what others thought of me. Every compliment lifted me. Every criticism crushed me. I was constantly chasing approval while drifting further away from myself. Then I began a practice I still do today. Every morning I wrote 3 simple truths. I am grounded. I am enough as I am. I move through this day with intention and compassion. Some days I didn't believe them, but I wrote them anyway, because repetition creates remembrance. And slowly, those words became more than ink on a page. They became a way of being. That's the power of daily reminders. They rewire your mind. They realign your soul. They pull you back to center, especially when the world tries to knock you off balance. You don't have to use affirmations. Maybe for you, it's a vision board, a journal, a short walk in nature while reflecting on your values. Whatever it is, make space for it. Create a small ritual that reconnects you with your essence. Because when you do, something incredible happens. You stop chasing identity in things that change, money, praise, status, and start building identity in things that last, kindness, truth, purpose. And when you carry that identity into your day, you speak more clearly, you love more fully, you act with more courage because you're not acting to be accepted. You're simply expressing who you already are. So let me ask you again, who are you? Not who the world told you to be, not who you think you need to become, but at your core, who are you, really? Are you a creator, a healer, a seeker of peace? Are you someone who values honesty, love, growth? Whatever that truth is, write it, speak it, live it. And when doubt shows up, and it will, come back to that truth. Let it be your compass in chaos. Let it guide you when the noise gets loud. Let it remind you that your worth is not up for negotiation. Because the more you return to who you are, the less you'll be shaken by who you're not. The power of small daily wins. Let me ask you something. When you think of success, what comes to mind? A breakthrough moment? A big achievement? A once-in-a-lifetime opportunity that changes everything? That's what we've been taught, right? That success is loud, visible, instant. But the truth? Real, lasting success, the kind that changes you from the inside out, is quiet. It's built in the small things, the things no one sees, the things you do even when no one's watching. This is the power of small daily wins. We live in a culture obsessed with results. Go big or go home. Overnight success. Make it happen now. But in Buddhism and in the quiet wisdom of those who live grounded, peaceful lives, there's a different truth. Consistency matters more than intensity. Think about it. You meditate for 5 minutes today, not life-changing in itself. You read 1 page of a book, not a huge deal. You make your bed. Take a deep breath before responding to someone. Choose a healthy meal over fast food. Tiny things. But when done every single day, they begin to shape you. Because these small actions are like drops of water. At first, they seem insignificant, but over time, they carve through stone. I'll share something personal with you. There was a time in my life when I kept waiting for the big moment, the career breakthrough, the perfect routine, the one insight that would fix everything. But those moments rarely came, and the ones that didn't last long. What made the biggest difference? Showing up every day, even when I didn't feel like it, even when it felt boring, slow, or invisible. I committed to a simple practice, 5 minutes of stillness, one small task done with full attention, one daily reminder of who I wanted to become. At first, it didn't feel like much. But then one day, I looked back and realized I wasn't the same person anymore. I had built strength, not overnight, but through the quiet, steady rhythm of repetition. That's the beauty of small daily wins. They don't overwhelm you. They don't require perfection. They just ask you to show up. One moment, one breath, one mindful step at a time. So ask yourself, what's one small thing you can do today that your future self will thank you for? Not a huge change, just one little win. Maybe it's drinking more water. Maybe it's 5 mindful breaths. Maybe it's writing one honest sentence in your journal. Because here's what happens when you start stacking small wins. You build momentum, and momentum builds confidence, and confidence builds identity. Suddenly, you're not someone who wants to meditate, you're someone who does. You're not someone who's trying to be peaceful, you are peaceful, because you've proven it to yourself day by day. This is the secret most people miss. Success is not one giant leap. It's thousands of tiny, intentional steps in the same direction. So if you've ever felt like you're not doing enough, like you're falling behind, like your progress is too slow to matter, pause, breathe, and remember, 1 page read, 1 mindful meal, 1 calm response, 1 moment of presence. It all counts. Because you're not just checking things off a list, you're building who you are, and who you become is the sum of what you do consistently. So don't chase big wins, stack small ones. Trust the process. honor the rhythm. Celebrate the little things, because they're not little at all. They are the foundation of your growth, the quiet proof of your transformation, the reason you'll look back in a year and realize just how far you've come. Practice daily gratitude. Let me ask you something. When was the last time you truly paused to say thank you? Not out loud to someone else, but quietly, from within. Not because everything is perfect, not because life gave you exactly what you asked for, but simply because you're here, you're alive, you're breathing. It's easy to forget, isn't it? When life gets busy, when stress piles up, when things don't go our way, gratitude becomes the last thing on our minds. But what if I told you that gratitude isn't something you do only when things are good? It's something that makes things good, even when they're not. Gratitude is energy. Gratitude is perspective. Gratitude is transformation. In Buddhist wisdom, gratitude is seen not just as a practice, but as a way of seeing the world. Because when you live with gratitude, everything shifts. Your problems don't magically disappear, but your relationship to them softens. Suddenly, hardship becomes a lesson. Loss reveals what really matters, and the ordinary moments start to feel sacred. I'll share a simple truth that changed me. You don't wait for life to be perfect to feel grateful. You feel grateful, and life begins to feel more meaningful. This doesn't require anything fancy. You don't need to light a candle, sit in a lotus pose, or have hours of free time. It can be as simple as this. Every morning or every evening, write down 3 things you're grateful for. That's it, just 3. A hot shower, a kind word from a stranger, the sound of rain outside your window, the strength you showed even when you were tired. They don't have to be profound. In fact, the more ordinary, the better. Because when you train your eyes to see beauty in the little things, you stop waiting for life to be extraordinary. You start realizing it already is. This practice rewires your brain, literally. Studies have shown that people who practice gratitude daily experience less anxiety, better sleep, stronger relationships, and even improved immune function. But beyond the science, here's what I've felt in my own life. Gratitude brings me home, to my heart, to the present moment, to a space where I'm no longer fighting what's missing, but fully receiving what's here. And that changes everything. Because let's face it, there will always be something you wish were different. A dream you haven't reached, a wound you're still healing, a challenge that won't go away. But even in that, there is still something to be grateful for. And when you find it, no matter how small, you create a shift. From lack to abundance, from stress to serenity, from fear to peace. Let me offer you a reflection. What if, today, instead of asking, "What's wrong?" you asked, "What's still right?" What if, even in your worst moment, you could whisper, "I'm still here. I'm still breathing. I'm still learning." That's the power of gratitude. It turns survival into presence. It turns everyday life into a gift. So here's your invitation. Start small. Write it down. Feel it in your body. Let it shift your energy. And don't just wait for the good days. Practice especially on the hard ones, because those are the days when your soul needs it most. You'll be amazed how your world begins to change, not because your circumstances changed, but because you did. Gratitude isn't a feeling you chase. It's a lens you choose. And the more you choose it, the brighter the world becomes. Practice noble silence. Let me ask you something. When was the last time you sat in complete silence? No music, no phone, no conversation. Just silence. For many of us, silence feels uncomfortable, even unnatural. We fill every moment with noise. Podcasts while driving, music while walking, endless scrolling, constant talking. But here's something we rarely think about. Silence isn't empty. It's full of answers. In Buddhism, there's a sacred practice called noble silence. It's more than just being quiet. It's about consciously choosing stillness as a doorway to wisdom. Because the truth is, we cannot hear the voice of our inner truth if we're always drowning in the noise of the world. When you practice noble silence, even for just 10-15 minutes a day, something incredible begins to happen. Your thoughts begin to settle. The mental clutter begins to fade. And underneath the noise, you reconnect with a part of yourself that's always been there. Calm, clear, awake. Let me share a personal story. There was a time in my life when I felt mentally exhausted, constantly overwhelmed, overstimulated, and anxious. I was always on, always responding, always consuming. Until a teacher of mine said something I'll never forget. Stillness isn't a luxury, it's a necessity for the soul. That day, I began what I now call my daily pause. Each morning, before the phone, before the news, before the to-do list, I'd sit in silence. No music, no journal, just breath and being. At first, it felt awkward. My mind raced. I kept checking the clock. But over time, those 10 minutes became the most sacred part of my day. Because in that silence, I began to hear myself again. My intuition became louder. My reactions became slower. My choices became more aligned. And I realized silence doesn't take you away from life. It brings you back to life. In a world that rewards noise, speed, and constant stimulation, silence becomes a revolutionary act. It's a way to reclaim your mind, to refresh your nervous system, to return to your essence. So, how can you practice noble silence? Here's how I recommend starting. Set aside 10 to 15 minutes a day. It can be morning, evening, or whenever you feel overstimulated. Turn off all devices. No notifications, no music, no screens. Sit comfortably. Close your eyes or keep them gently open. Breathe. Notice the inhale, the exhale. No need to control anything. Just be. Notice what arises. Thoughts, emotions, discomfort. Let them come and go. The goal isn't to stop thinking. It's to witness without reacting. At first, your mind may resist. That's okay. We're not used to being with ourselves in stillness. But keep showing up. Because with practice, silence becomes not just tolerable, but nourishing. It becomes a space where you remember who you are, beneath the roles, the noise, the pressure. And here's what's even more beautiful. You begin to carry that silence with you, into conversations, into stress, into the chaos. You learn to pause before reacting, to listen with presence, to speak from wisdom, not urgency. Silence isn't the absence of sound. It's the presence of awareness. It's the space where clarity lives, where healing begins, where truth whispers. So if life feels too fast, if your thoughts feel too loud, if you're longing to come back to center, don't look for more stimulation. Look for silence. Sit in it. Breathe in it. Let it hold you. Let it teach you. Because sometimes the most powerful thing you can do for your mind is to give it a moment of nothing. And in that nothing, everything returns. Awaken through presence. Let me ask you something. Where are you right now? Not just physically, but mentally, emotionally, spiritually. Are you here in this moment? Or is part of you still stuck in yesterday's mistake? Or already rushing toward tomorrow's to-do list? Most of us live in a kind of trance. We're physically present, but our minds are somewhere else. We're drinking coffee while scrolling. We're listening, but already preparing our reply. We're walking, but thinking about dinner, bills, that awkward thing we said last week. We're here, but not really here. And it's exhausting. But there's a beautiful truth that Buddhist teachings remind us of. Presence is the doorway to awakening. Not in some dramatic, spiritual fireworks kind of way, but in the simplest, most grounded sense. When you're fully present, life stops rushing past you. You begin to actually experience it. You notice the warmth of your tea, the way the sunlight moves across the wall, the sound of your child's laughter, the steadiness of your own breath, and for a moment, you're free. Free from the grip of the past, free from the pressure of the future, free to just be. Here's what I've learned from practicing this. Presence isn't about trying harder. It's about trying less. It's not about making every moment magical. It's about actually being there for the moments you already have. And it starts with something so small it's easy to overlook. Choose one action today and give it your full attention. That's it. It could be washing the dishes, taking a shower, brushing your teeth, even drinking a single glass of water. But do it slowly. Do it with intention. Feel the water. Smell the soap. Listen to the sounds. Don't rush to finish. Be there for the doing and notice what happens. Your mind slows down. Your body softens. You become anchored in reality, in clarity, in peace. This is what the great teachers mean when they talk about mindfulness. Not a technique to fix your mind, but a way to meet your life one breath at a time. Presence is not a reward for having everything figured out. It's a practice you bring into the middle of your messy, beautiful, imperfect life. And when you bring presence into your daily life, something starts to shift. You become less reactive. You stop rushing through things just to check them off. You begin to feel connected to your body, your choices, your values. Even your relationships change. When you really listen to someone, they can feel it. When you speak from presence, your words carry more weight. When you slow down, life begins to feel enough. So if you've ever felt like you're missing something, that you're always chasing, always distracted, always on edge, pause. Come back to this moment. Touch your breath. Feel your feet on the ground. Notice the life that's happening around you and within you right now. You don't need to escape your life to feel peace. You just arrive in it. Because presence isn't just a spiritual idea. It's the foundation of freedom. When you live fully in the moment, you no longer belong to the past. You no longer fear the future. You belong to yourself. And that is awakening. Steady like bamboo in the wind. So here we are. After 10 powerful habits, 10 gentle shifts that can change your life from the inside out. Let's pause. Take one long, deep breath. And let's reflect together. If you've made it this far, you already know. This journey wasn't about becoming perfect. It was about becoming unshakable. Not in a hardened, unfeeling way, but in a quiet, rooted, resilient way, like bamboo. Bamboo bends, but it never breaks. It flows with the wind, but it stays grounded through the storm. And that's what these 10 habits offer you. Let's remember them one by one. 1. Sit with pain. Instead of running, you choose to breathe through it. You learn that pain isn't punishment, it's a teacher. 2. Respond, don't react. You create space between the trigger and your choice. You step out of autopilot and reclaim your power. 3. Discipline your mind each morning. You start your day with clarity instead of chaos. You train your thoughts before the world trains them for you. 4. Let go of what you can't control. You stop gripping outcomes. You learn to trust the unfolding and find freedom in surrender. 5. Be intentional with your environment. You curate the people, places, and content that support your peace. You protect your energy like the sacred thing it is. 6. Remind yourself who you are every day. You don't wait for the world to define you. You remember your truth and carry it like armor. 7. Win the day with small, steady actions. You stop chasing perfection. You build progress through consistency and trust in the slow work of becoming. 8. Practice daily gratitude. You shift your lens from lack to abundance. You begin to see the sacred in the simple. 9. Embrace noble silence. You step away from noise. You listen not to the world, but to the voice within. 10. Awaken through presence. You stop rushing through life. You begin to live it fully, tenderly, moment by moment. Now, take a step back. These aren't just habits. They're a way of living. They don't require money or perfection or hours of spare time. They require only this: daily devotion. Just like the bamboo, your strength doesn't come from being rigid. It comes from being rooted, from bending when life asks you to, from staying grounded when the wind picks up. And that's what you are becoming. Not someone who avoids the storm, but someone who remains centered inside of it. Maybe you've already started practicing some of these habits. Maybe you're just beginning. Either way, this is not a race. There is no end to this path, because life keeps evolving, and so do you. So instead of trying to master everything overnight, ask yourself this: what's one small thing I can do today, just one, that brings me closer to the person I'm becoming? That's how real change happens. Not in leaps, but in steps. Not in pressure, but in presence. And as you move forward, imperfectly, bravely, quietly, remember, you already hold everything you need. Not because you've achieved it all, but because you've returned to yourself. So, take a deep breath, trust the journey, root down like bamboo, and rise, steady, soft, unshakable. Thank you for walking this path with me. This is not the end. It's the beginning of a life lived more mindfully, more freely, more fully. And it all begins again with one honest breath, one grounded step, one ordinary moment lived extraordinarily well. If this journey inspired you, hit subscribe. Share this video with someone who might need it today, and leave a comment. What's your one practice you'll commit to this week?